Good morning, everyone. Could you please take your seats? So welcome to the ETUI conference, Women, Work and Cancer. So we have interpretation in different languages. So channel 2 is for French, Canal 2 en français, channel 3 in English, channel 6 for Spanish. Okay, I let you put on your headset, okay? I would like also to inform you that the event can be seen on internet by live streaming. So we have much more participants than people in the room, which is very good. And also some housekeeping information. We have an attendance list, that you will need to sign for today and for tomorrow. So please don't forget to sign the attendance list. That's very important. ETUI is financed by public money, and so all those things are very important. So with that, I would like to give the floor to Esther.
I'll go up to you. Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome to our house, both the ETUC and ETUI. We live in this building and, of course, out at national level with all of our affiliates. I'm preparing for what I would say. I thought I'd tell you about two instances that I had. The first one was, as a young woman, I campaigned very hard in Ireland to ensure that there would be breast checks, a mammogram, available for free to women. And when I was 50, I got a letter saying, Esther, please come and have your free mammogram. So I went for it. Not a pleasant experience for anybody who's had it, but it's an important one. And they asked me, what do you drink? I probably didn't tell the truth. They said, you're overweight. I said, yes. And they talked a lot about my lifestyle. But they didn't ask me what I worked at. Didn't ask me what hours I worked. And it struck me at the time that that was an extraordinary omission. Because what we know now is so much of breast cancer is directly related to the type of work that you do, what you're exposed to, and importantly, how many hours you work. Working 40, 50 hours a week definitely has an effect. If you're like me, you go to bed on the mobile phone, check your emails. Nobody ever told me to do that. I don't know why I do it. Check your emails, so then I can't sleep very well. You get up and you... So the amount of hours that a lot of us are putting in on top of our ordinary week of work. Look, we know that there's a direct link between night work, long hours of work, and breast cancer. And yet, all of the effort seems to be into research to either disprove that fact or prove that fact. Whereas what would be more helpful to me as a representative of working people and of working women is, well, what could we do to prevent breast cancer among women who do night work? How long is too long to do night work? Are longer holidays the solution? Are blackout blinds, are they going to help with your circadian rhythm? Like what type of measures can we as union representatives negotiate to help prevent breast cancer caused by long hours of work? Second incident that I want to talk about was a woman I represented in the workplace. She came to me and said, I have breast cancer and I'm going to have to tell the employer. I'm afraid to do it because I think I'm going to be managed out. I think that's what's going to happen to me is I'm going to lose my job. And I can't afford to lose my job because I have a mortgage, I have a family that I need to take care of. And again, that struck me as something that as trade union people, we could do a better job of. We could have in place, before the worker comes to us, we could begin to negotiate proper procedures, guarantees for working people, so that when they get a diagnosis of cancer, that we have in place, workers can with confidence come forward, knowing they're not going to be discriminated against, knowing they're not going to be managed out of the workplace, and can look for things like short-term hours, or can say, look, I might just need to lie down for a week, or I might just need to lie down for an hour, I might just need a week off work, not months off work. So I think wearing those two hats, both as a representative of working people, but also as a working person myself, I'd like to know a lot more about how to prevent work-related cancer. And that's why I'm particularly happy that the ETUI are running this conference. I'm going to be listening both as a woman, as a mother, as somebody within my family. I want to bring the information back. But I'm also going to be listening as a representative of working people and also as a Confederal Secretary here at the ETUC. And I'll be listening very closely to hear your discussion and their recommendation on what should we be looking for at EU level. What are the new directives we need? What are the new binding occupational limits that we need? What are the new prevention measures that we should be negotiating? And this brings me to my final point. I know that Claude is here, and I want to thank him for his legacy work in the European Parliament. Your work will prevent the death of so many working people. So I want to thank you on behalf of this House for all of your work there. And finally, my comment to all of you is who you vote for matters. Who you manage to get into the Parliament the next time round will matter. So we need you to be really strong when you get home, that you make sure that the trade unions are asking hard questions to people who are standing to come here to the European Parliament, because that's where we go as working people to get help. So that's my final thing. We need to make sure that the MEPs you send back from your member state are properly understand what these issues are and properly come forward to help us to get the type of preventative laws in place to make sure that nobody's life is cut short by work-related cancer and nobody dies from work-related cancer. Thank you.
Ok, je vais continuer. Ok, ça marche. Merci tout d'abord de m'accueillir ici. C'est vraiment un plaisir pour moi. Plaisir, il est double. D'une part par rapport au sujet, mais d'autre part parce que c'est toujours très agréable de se retrouver dans son milieu naturel, dans son aquarium ici à la CES, même si je suis un espèce de député de politique par intérim un peu quelque part, parce que je reste toujours dans l'âme et je vais continuer à croire et à vouloir l'action syndicale. Donc ce que je voudrais dire en termes d'introduction, rappelez-vous, quand Jean-Claude Juncker a pris la présidence de la Commission européenne il y a maintenant 4 ans et demi, il nous a dit qu'il voulait que la Commission européenne obtienne un triple A social. Bon, peut-être qu'il est encore un peu tôt pour faire l'évaluation, mais je pense qu'on n'est pas tout à fait au triple A, même si je veux reconnaître qu'il y a des avancées. La Commission m'a semblé assez lente dans son démarrage. Je pense qu'aujourd'hui, elle a pris un tempo plus intéressant. Simplement pour vous donner un exemple, au moment où on a commencé en Commission Emploi et Affaires sociales, nous avons comme députés surtout fait du travail de donner des avis, mais très peu de législatif. Et ce qui compte dans le travail parlementaire, ce sont les lois que l'on fait. Aujourd'hui, on est un peu submergé en termes de travail parce que tout arrive un peu dans un goulot d'étranglement. Ce qui s'est passé à Göteborg est important. Il y a une fenêtre d'opportunité qui a été ouverte. Et je dois souligner que la commissaire Marianne Thyssen à l'emploi et aux affaires sociales a eu du courage en matière de santé, de réouvrir le dossier sur la protection des travailleurs salariés par rapport aux produits cancérigènes et mutagènes. Ça faisait plus de 10 ans qu'on n'avait plus touché à ce dossier. Et donc je pense que c'est important. Il y a maintenant, on est en train de terminer les discussions au Parlement sur ce qu'on appelle le 3e batch, c'est-à-dire le 3e chapitre. Donc il y a vraiment des avancées tout à fait concrètes qui sont en train de se faire à ce niveau-là. Avec un processus qui me paraît être un processus intéressant, qui s'appuie sur les scientifiques d'une part, mais aussi sur le travail des partenaires sociaux. Maintenant, et je fais une petite parenthèse, pour moi, clairement, en matière de santé-sécurité, le maître mot doit toujours être prévention. Agir après la maladie, agir après l'accident, ça n'a pas beaucoup de sens. C'est avant qu'il faut le faire et on ne peut pas accepter que ce type de choses se produisent dans le milieu du travail. Et le rôle des partenaires sociaux, le rôle des organisations syndicales est important et je pense que les secteurs, les branches professionnelles ont un rôle particulier à jouer, non pas pour se dispenser de la loi, mais pour être avant la loi et au-delà de la loi en termes de protection. Alors, le dossier, bon, moi j'ai été sur les 3 batchs, les 3 chapitres, j'ai chaque fois été impliqué soit comme rapporteur fictif, soit comme rapporteur. Ça sera la semaine prochaine à Strasbourg, il y aura un vote en plénière sur le rapport du 2e, ce qu'on appelle le 2e batch, où j'ai pu introduire comme rapporteur, en plus de la proposition de la Commission, le fait d'avoir une protection, une valeur limite pour les émanations de vapeur de moteurs diesel respirées par les travailleurs salariés. Mais l'ambition, clairement, c'est d'obtenir à terme une révision permanente de ces directives, parce que tous les jours, presque, il y a des nouvelles substances, tous les jours, on apprend des nouvelles choses sur les effets de ces substances sur les travailleurs. Et je te remercie pour ton petit mot, Esther, tout à l'heure, mais soyons bien clairs, le travail que j'ai pu faire, que nous avons pu faire au Parlement européen, si j'avais été seul comme député, je n'aurais pas pu le faire. J'ai pu le faire parce qu'il y avait la Confédération européenne des syndicats, parce qu'il y avait les TUI. Si je n'avais pas eu ces appuis-là, ces outils-là pour faire ce travail de parlementaire, eh bien, mon travail de parlementaire, je n'aurais pas pu le faire. Donc c'est vraiment important d'avoir cette vision. Alors, le thème aujourd'hui, c'est femmes au travail et cancer. Je crois que c'est vraiment intéressant que vous ayez cette démarche. Pourquoi je le dis? Parce que trop souvent, on a d'une part le sentiment que la mortalité au travail, elle est due aux accidents du travail. Ce qui n'est pas vrai. La première cause de mortalité au travail, c'est malheureusement le cancer, avec les substances avec lesquelles nous devons travailler jour après jour. Et on a toujours... Je suis syndicaliste et je fais mon mea culpa quelque part, une vision d'une industrie dangereuse, une industrie avec des hommes, majoritairement que des hommes. On le sait, notamment en matière de cancer, l'impact sur les femmes est un impact hyper important. Tu évoquais notamment le cancer du sein. On sait très bien aujourd'hui la connexion qu'il y a à faire entre le travail du nuit et le cancer du sein. Et je pourrais reprendre différentes pathologies et on voit l'effet du milieu du travail. Et très rarement, on fait une analyse santé-travail dans la vie de tous les jours. Et donc, on a pu faire cette avancée sur le diesel. Ça n'a pas été évident, hein. On a pris presque 2 ans pour faire le travail. On a dû pousser. Vous imaginez, quand on prend les émanations de vapeur diesel, il y a des symboliques importantes qui jouent en la matière et qui sont des réticentes. Mais on a quand même su gagner. Il y aura le vote mardi prochain, mais je n'ai pas trop d'inquiétude. Je pense que ça se passera bien en la matière. Le 3e batch, le 3e chapitre, par exemple, et ça nous concerne aussi de façon importante, il y a toute la question des cytotoxiques. C'est-à-dire, c'est quand même assez fou, et ça concerne beaucoup de femmes parce que c'est le milieu hospitalier, de produits qui permettent, de substances qui permettent de soigner, de guérir le cancer, et les victimes qui ont le cancer à cause de ça, ce sont les travailleurs du secteur de la santé. Alors on essaye de forcer la Commission à avancer en la matière. C'est clair, je suis content du résultat que nous avons obtenu. Si je dois me dire sur mes 5 ans de député, si j'ai servi à quelque chose, je pense que la seule chose que je retiendrai, mais elle est amplement suffisante pour moi, c'est de dire j'aurais au moins servi à cela. Mais j'ai la pleine conscience que ça reste totalement insuffisant, qu'on est encore sur des valeurs limites qui sont pas suffisamment restrictive, parce que c'est plus possible, c'est pas possible de voir et de constater tous les jours que des travailleuses, que des travailleurs perdent leur vie en voulant la gagner simplement. Et donc ça, c'est quelque chose, c'est un combat central. C'est intéressant au niveau européen, parce que ça reste une matière principale dans les compétences de l'Union européenne. Et comme syndicaliste, on doit se rappeler, le combat pour la santé et la sécurité, c'est un des combats premiers de l'histoire de la naissance et de nos mouvements syndicaux. Merci.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very happy, on behalf of the ETUI, to welcome you to this conference on women, cancer and work. I want to thank Esther and Claude for their welcoming words. I'm very happy to be third in line after you two. It strikes me that both of you have a great commitment to this cause, and of course we know that already for a long time, but this is really great. We have had a union perspective a bit from Esther, we have had a political perspective from Claude, and I will bring in a research perspective and a feminist perspective. Women are normal people, aren't they? And the female worker is a normal worker, isn't she? And I would say a female patient is quite an ordinary patient, or not. Today and tomorrow we will have an exchange on the issue of work-related cancer in women, or in more theoretical terms, from a gender perspective. And always, if we organize something from a gender perspective, which we often do, as you might know, the question is raised, is it really necessary to look at this problem from a gender perspective? Cannot we just assume that women are integrated in regular research or the normal registration systems or the regular prevention policies? It is a legitimate question because, as I said, women are normal human beings. The female worker is a normal worker. The female patient is a normal patient. So why not? So it would be completely logic if they would be integrated in all of the things I mentioned. The point is that this is just not the reality that women, female workers, and female patients face. They are often left out as an object for research, and therefore we also see their realities not reflected in statistics and policies. To use an example outside of the topic of this conference, I come to, as Esther did, an example from my personal life. Do you know what the symptoms of a heart attack are? I did, when I was confronted with one in a dear person very near to me. It is pressure on the chest and pain in the left arm. Undoubtedly, there are more symptoms. I'm not a doctor, but these are very well known, aren't they? So, when my partner showed these symptoms, I immediately know what was at stake. We jumped in the car, went to the hospital, and by doing so, saved his life. My point is, if I would have been the one with the heart attack, it would not have been so certain that I or someone in my near environment would have recognized the symptoms. Because I probably would not have had the same symptoms, these symptoms I just mentioned, pain on the chest and in the left arm. But other ones, usually referred to as vague. The point is, women usually have other symptoms than men when having a heart attack, and while the male symptoms have been shown in research already a long time ago, it is only in recent times that attention has been paid to the symptoms that women have. So women were just not in the samples of the research. Men were taken as the so-called normal. So isn't that really strange when we agree on the fact that female patients are normal patients? Wouldn't it have been logic to do research on them from the very start? EQI is one of the few institutes that insists on taking into account the gender perspective in a very conscious way. Usually other institutes in occupational safety and health don't take into account the gender perspective, and institutes that do research on women discrimination or gender equality don't focus on women's health. So we are proud to cross both perspectives. As for work-related cancer, there are a few elements we can raise here. First of all, why is it important to integrate a gender perspective? First of all, there's medical reasons. Biological differences between women and men have different effects as regards the development of the tumor. I mentioned hormonal differences, the hormonal system being a mediator for the development of the cancer, and also, for example, the fact that the female body has more fat than the male body, so dangerous substances staying longer in the female body. It's just a few examples from the medical side. The other reason I want to mention, the second reason, is reasons related to work, and I think Claude touched on this already. Also today, we still witness a strong division of labor, with many sectors that are dominantly male and other sectors that are dominantly female. And here, a quite persistent stereotype occurs. It seems that we think that male professions are the dangerous one and that women have less dangerous work. This only goes for fatal accidents. Yes, here mostly men are involved, but without playing down the impact of fatal accidents, a far more extensive cause of death than fatal occupational accidents is, of course, the consequences of occupational diseases. So, why do occupational diseases in men get more attention than those in women? It's strange. It seems to be a blind spot. All the attention goes to industry, all the attention goes to primary processes, to occupations within the primary processes, handling the chemical substances, whereas outside of industry and more in the peripheral jobs that have to deal with substances, there's much less attention paid, and coincidentally there are the women working. I've said enough about the reasons to do this conference. I think it's quite obvious that it's needed. We will have, I think, a very interesting program. Tony will tell us more about it later. It's cutting three. It's on prevention. It's on keeping the work and reintegration into work and fighting discrimination. And it's on registration, research and data. And it has all kinds of contributions. We have research results, we have a testimonial from someone who experienced cancer, and we have also information on registration systems. It's all together, so it's very broad. And I hope that thereby we give you a broad overview of the world of women, work and cancer. And I hope that this conference will also inspire you in whatever way you work with women, work and cancer. And by doing so, contribute to a greater awareness and more visibility of the occupational risk for cancer in women. We will conclude the conference with a panel discussion among policymakers, and we want to look to the future in a positive way. What can be done to prevent work to be such a great factor in causing cancer, and how can we take into account the gender dimension in an adequate way? What are the concrete steps to be taken? And finally, it would be great if we could confirm my initial statements. Female workers are normal workers, just like all the others. We take her into account consciously in all our research and in all our preventive policies. I wish you a good conference. Thank you.